What a way to start the show. Happy daylight savings time and anniversary of COVID. Well, the lockdown part anyway. So, quite a bit from this week to discuss my thoughts on. But the big one is a 65-year-old woman arrested for refusing to wear a mask. Okay, so the deal was that fairly recently some state governors removed their state mandates on wearing masks in public places. And several people that I speak with knew that at any moment it's going to come up where somebody's going to get arrested for not wearing a mask and go straight to the governor said, I don't have to. And sure enough, a 65-year-old woman in Galveston, Texas, was arrested. She was actually arrested for trespassing and resisting arrest because she refused to wear a mask. She went into a bank to make a withdrawal and refused to leave when the manager said, ma'am, you have to wear a mask to come in here. Of course, the response, Governor Abbott said, I don't have to. Rather than dealing with things in a timely and efficient manner, the bank manager let the lady stay there while they waited for police to arrive. In that period of time, they could easily have closed her account as she was requesting and sent her on her merry little way and minimized everything. Instead, they decided to make a nice national news story about this crazy woman refusing to wear a mask while being countered with police brutality breaks an elderly woman's foot for refusing to wear a mask. All right. My thoughts, basic ethics, and Declaration of Human Rights. Wearing a mask for whatever purposes under COVID is not a violation of anyone's rights. The argument that, well, you have to wear clothes in public for health concerns or modesty concerns or whatever the argument du jour is. Once the state rules that that is not required, then it is not required. However, any random restaurant can have or store for that matter, you can find signs that say no shoes, no shirt, no service. Shoes are not required by law. Shirts are not required by law. But the owners can add that to the we refuse a right to refuse service. The awkward part to that, stores and businesses that say they maintain the right to refuse service can and have been shut down for refusing to provide service to people based on their skin color, religion, or gender identity. Specifically, being gay, LGBTQ. And as soon as that happens, those cases go to court, and judges rule that in public places you cannot discriminate based on Civil Rights Act and articles and amendments in the Constitution. However, this is COVID time, so suddenly, spontaneously, if you don't want to obey the federal government, those public places revert to private businesses, and you can be discriminated against if you choose not to wear a COVID mask. Now, let's take a look at some of the details here. Texas, Mississippi, Florida, and a few other states that I can't think of off the top of my head have removed the requirements for wearing masks. And the immediate response was, oh, well, they're right-wing COVID Trump supporters. Right? Whatever. Right-wing Trump supporting red states. Yet that has nothing to do with the frustration that has come upon society based on the whole COVID and masking situation in society. A year ago this week, Dr. Fauci, the great and honorable Fauci of the central government, stated that masks were not effective and nobody should go getting masks and masks wouldn't help. A few weeks later, he turned around and said, wear masks. We were lying to you so that you would not take masks away from healthcare professionals. So right off the bat, at the beginning, they being government officials, admitted that they were lying to the American people to manipulate their feelings and emotions and actions. They also said, wear the masks and we're going to lock down for 2 weeks to slow the spread. 2 weeks became 2 months. Here we are a year later, and the only people who have been locked down and really put out of business are small businesses. Walmart never had to lock down. Amazon did not have to lock down. Major corporate organizations that have the financial resource to affect politicians and their elections never had to shut down. However, their local competitions did. Think about that one. Walmart did not have to shut down. Tommy's had to shut down. McDonald's did not have to shut down. Jimmy's Cafe had to shut down. Major chain restaurants like Texas Roadhouse did not have to shut down, but adjusted to delivery or pickup with to-go plates. Mama Leone's had to shut down because that was a high-dollar restaurant dining experience, not corporately owned or backed. Earlier this week, President Biden made a speech after signing the most recent Let's Give Americans Money deal, where he said that if the American people would obey the rules of the government, if they would do as they are told, then the government may permit them to join their families on Independence Day. Okay, let's look at this. The authoritarian government told the American people that if they obey their authoritarian rules, that they may be permitted to commemorate our ancestors' Declaration of Independence from an authoritarian government. Wow, note the irony. Here we are a year into lockdowns of the pandemic. Rules have constantly been changed. No mask, 1 mask, 2 masks, avoid everybody, stay at home, do as you're told. People have been getting frustrated. Very recently in the last week, Dr. Fauci said that these lockdowns and these restrictions may have to continue through 2023. Shortly after that, these governors said, screw it, we're relinquishing these restrictions. Now, from an American standpoint, this woman went to a bank that if she had been black or gay or trans, they would never have dreamed of receiving the negative feedback of asking her to leave. But she's a 65-year-old white woman. Okay, we're not going to bring the other stuff into it. Suffice it to say, the bank did not feel that they would have sufficient negative blowback. They called the police when she refused to leave. The police cam shows in video that all of the rest of the customers are standing there while this woman proceeds to yell, "Oh, what, you're going to shoot an old lady?" Okay, she's 65. She was moving around pretty well. Her claiming to be old, hey, she ain't that much older than me. Sorry, I'm not giving you the age thing. But she proceeds to yell that, "Oh, are you going to shoot an old lady? Oh, my human rights. I have a right to be in public." She puts on quite the show of being a mask-refusing individual. I definitely have to mark those things in the con column for her. However, as was mentioned, if the police had tackled a young black man, there would be outcries of police brutality. If they tackled a gay person, there would be outcries of police brutality. They tackled this woman who was slowly making her way to the door after the police engaged her. She wasn't moving as fast as the police told her to do. Well, she had already been in that business for however long it took for the manager to talk to her, then to call the police, then to wait for the police to arrive. So guess what? If she were contaminated, the damage is done. There's no need to rush it. Now, my perspective, when told that the business was going to be pushy about the mask, I would have gotten in a vehicle, pulled up to the drive-through window, turned the engine off, and sat there and waited for them to work for me through the window. If they said they could not close the account through the window, then I would tell them that I'm going to come in with no mask, or they're going to do it through the window. One of the two things. I guarantee you they would conduct the business through the window. Nobody has specified what bank this was, and I would not dream of saying, hey, let's give negative blowback to the bank. No. There's already legal negative blowback for the police department for excessive use of force in tackling her and handcuffing her. Come on. Like I said, if she'd been a young black man, they'd have been a lot more leery because they wouldn't want riots in the streets, which are occurring anyway. Human beings have an inherent right to safety in their person, to be free from arbitrary arrest. In this case, she was not arrested for refusing to wear a mask. She was arrested for refusing to leave a business. However, the only reason she was asked to leave was because she wouldn't wear a mask. This does rank right up with approximately 2 years ago, two black men being arrested for allegedly refusing to leave a Starbucks when the manager didn't even ask them to leave. It's right up there with the same thing. A manager made a decision and is trying to hide what their decision was based on. Now, as for masks, once again, at the beginning, the great Fauci said they don't do anything. Then he said they do it something. The most common thing and complaint that I keep trying to correct people on: masks do not stop the spread of COVID. If masks stopped the spread, we would not be at the 1-year anniversary of COVID lockdown. What masks do is reduce the spread. So allegedly, we would have had maybe twice as many or more deaths from COVID, which has a 98% survival rate. 98% survival. If I get it, I may not know I've had it. In that way, no, you know what? I'm not even going to compare it to any other disease. Screw that. Masks are only effective against you spreading to other people. I wear a mask in public. Why? Because other people in public don't know me. They don't know I don't have COVID. Therefore, to allay their fears and prevent panic, I wear one in public. I am clearly not wearing one right now. Why would I? There's no one in this room but me. When I go to the store, I will wear one. Whether the store says I have to or not is a different issue. I have been to stores that clearly had a sign, mask required for entry. As soon as I entered, I noticed there was no one, including the people at the counters, wearing masks. I asked, what the heck? And was told by the young man at the counter that in accordance with the governor's mandate, they had to have a sign to enter the store. But nobody said anything about while they were in it, and no one there was concerned about spreading anything. That store, that business, their rules. Now, watch what happens the first time somebody says, oh, that cake baker refused to make a cake because I'm gay. Oh, that already happened. What would that same judge say in that baker refused to bake me a cake because I refuse to wear a mask? Yeah. Double standards for an administration, and no, I do not mean President Biden. I mean the people in charge. Double standards for them saying, obey our rules, do as you are told, you filthy peasants. Last I checked, this is America, and my rights do not end when you get offended. Have a great and wonderful week.